Look at Cruise's on-set demeanor during Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah, he's described as quite controlling.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes you wonder.
Right, and that's the interesting thing here is you have this public persona, this very charming, affable guy.
Yeah, always smiling.
Yeah, exactly. But then, we hear these stories. It's not unusual for A-list actors to have a certain level of influence, of course.
Right.
I mean, their name on a poster can make or break a project.
It's true.
But with Cruise, it seems to go a step further.
Yeah, and there's this one incident that is described in the article, and it kind of really shows this hands-on approach that he has. So picture this, Cruise is on vacation in Australia.
Okay.
But he's so fixated on the editing of Mission Impossible 2 that he wants to watch the editors work remotely.
Wow.
He proposed setting up cameras in the editing room
Cameras in the editing room.
so he could keep tabs on the process, even from afar.
Oh, wow.
And, post-production is traditionally the director's domain, right?
Right.
They collaborate with the editors,
Exactly, to shape the film's final cut.
shape that final product. Yeah.
So to have an actor directly involved, it's rare. And, some might see it as overstepping.
Yeah. It really makes you think about how much he wanted to be involved.
It's true.
Like the guy's on vacation, but he's still
Still thinking about the film.
laser focused on this film.
It says something about his dedication, I think.
Oh, absolutely. You can't deny his commitment to his craft. But you're right, this intense involvement does raise some questions.
Yeah.
To what extent did Cruise's control actually impact the final product?
Yeah.
Was it a collaborative process? Or did the director John Woo have to make concessions? Yeah, that's a great point. And it makes me wonder, were there other instances where Cruise's need for control came into play? Did it affect other aspects of the production, like the casting, or maybe even the script?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it's hard to say for certain, but it makes you wonder,
So tell me.
about those ripple effects. Think about the action sequences in Mission Impossible 2.
Right.
They're so over the top, so quintessential of Tom Cruise.
Well,
Is that pure directorial vision? Or was there, a heavy dose of Cruise's input?
was that John Woo, or was that Tom Cruise saying, I want to do this?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder about authorship.
Exactly.
Is the director truly in control, or does an actor like Tom Cruise, with his star power and his drive, have more sway than we realize?
Right. It's a very complex question. Filmmaking is a collaborative art.
Yeah.
And there's countless stories of directors clashing with actors.
Oh, sure.
Egos battling it out for creative control. Sometimes it results in cinematic magic,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's a recipe for disaster.
It's true, Hollywood's full of those stories.
Oh, yeah.
But in this case, it seems like John Woo held his own. At least he pushed back on that whole camera in the editing room idea.
He did, and that's significant. Because it takes a strong director to stand up to someone like Tom Cruise, especially when there's millions of dollars on the line.
Right.
And it makes you think maybe that's why Mission Impossible 2 has such a unique feel. It's a blend of Woo's stylistic action and Cruise's undeniable screen presence.
It's true.
It's almost like you see that tension
Yeah.
between their visions
Yeah, playing out on screen.
and playing out on screen.
I never thought about it that way.
Okay.
But you're right, it's like this push and pull
Yeah.
between two strong creative forces.
Exactly.
And that tension might actually be what makes it so compelling.
Exactly. And for you listening, consider this. How do you think this dynamic between Cruise and Woo ultimately shaped the final product?
Ooh, good question.
Did it elevate the film or did it create limitations? Was there a compromise that impacted Woo's original vision?
Yeah, these are great questions. We're piecing together a puzzle here, trying to decipher all the creative choices that were made and the power dynamics that go on behind the scenes. We have these little glimpses,
Right.
but the full picture, it remains a mystery.
Yeah, and that's what makes this so intriguing, right? It
Yeah.
invites us to engage with the film on a deeper level, to think critically about, the forces at play behind the scenes.
Right.
Would Mission Impossible 2 have been a different film if Cruise hadn't been so invested, so controlling?
Yeah.
Would it have been better or would it have been worse?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if there's a director's cut out there somewhere
Right.
that's more true to Woo's initial vision. That'd be fascinating to see.
Absolutely. It'd be so interesting to see, compare and contrast how different creative choices could have played out. And honestly, knowing what we know now about Cruise and his desire for control,
Right.
I'm even more curious to see what happens in his upcoming Mission Impossible film.
I hear you. I can already see the headlines now. Tom Cruise takes charge.
Yeah.
More on-set tales revealed. I'm sure there'll be more stories to tell.
It's a safe bet. Because, even the biggest stars, The most charismatic figures in Hollywood. They have their quirks, they have their complexities,
Yeah.
and those complexities often make for the most fascinating stories.
It's true. It's a reminder that there's always more to the story than meets the eye,
Absolutely.
especially in the world of Hollywood. And sometimes those behind-the-scenes stories are just as captivating as the films themselves.
Precisely. They offer a glimpse into the creative process, the clash of personalities, artistic visions, the power dynamics that shape the stories we see on screen. It's the human element with all its flaws and passions that truly brings these films to life.
Yeah, it really makes you think about that whole auteur theory debate, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, who's really shaping the final product? You know, is it the director? Is it the actors? Especially with someone like Tom Cruise, who's so involved in every aspect of his films.
Right. It's a question that film theorists have been wrestling with for decades, and there's no easy answer. Sometimes it is a true collaboration, a synergy between the director's vision and the actor's interpretation.
Right.
But other times it can be a real power struggle, clash of egos
Yeah.
that can impact the creative process
Right.
in unpredictable ways.
But I guess at the end of the day, the audience is the ultimate judge.
Right.
We decide whether a film works or not,
Sure.
regardless of who had the most control behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Box office numbers, critical reception,
Yeah.
cultural impact.
Yeah.
Those are the metrics that ultimately matter.
Yeah.
A film can be a technical masterpiece, but if it doesn't resonate with the audience, it's not going to have a lasting impact.
Right. So as we wrap up our deep dive here
Mhm.
into Tom Cruise and the making of Mission Impossible 2, what's the biggest takeaway for you? What should our listeners be walking away with?
I think it's a reminder that even the most iconic figures in Hollywood, the ones we see as larger-than-life heroes or charismatic superstars, they're complex human beings.
Right.
They have passions, they have quirks, and yes, sometimes a very strong desire for control.
Yeah.
And those complexities, they can make for some really fascinating stories, both on and off the screen.
It's true. It's like getting a glimpse behind the curtain,
Yeah.
seeing the gears turning,
Yeah.
the creative struggles, the compromises that go into making a film. And it honestly makes those films even more interesting to watch.
Exactly. It adds another layer of depth to our understanding of the art form. We're not just passively consuming entertainment, we're engaging with the work of passionate individuals who are driven to tell stories in their own unique way.
Very well said. So to everyone listening, next time you watch a Tom Cruise movie,
Yeah.
just remember there's a whole world of creative collaboration
Yeah.
and perhaps a little bit of drama
Oh, yeah.
happening behind the scenes.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll get to hear even more of those stories. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
Absolutely.